Oh, and we live. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Miss y'all, did y'all miss me? It's been a minute. Happy new month, I guess. We're gonna do a recap. So much going on in the world. Shout out to all the new subscribers. I appreciate and really love to see the numbers growing. Thank you, my freedom fighters. We're gonna go to look into some world news today. Let's see what's going on.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is...
Well, tonight, President Trump also says he thinks the Israel hostages will be held, or hostages held, rather, by Hamas will be freed very soon. But the situation in Gaza remains desperate with new bombings today. CBS's Deborah Pata is in East Jerusalem with the very latest.
Good evening. Talks around the logistics of a hostage prisoner swap begin in Egypt tomorrow. There's pressure on both Hamas and Israel to seal the peace deal. Suspended between hope and dread. Families and friends of hostages who've been waiting 730 days for their loved ones are not celebrating yet.
We have lived through Hamas lies before. We cannot let another deal collapse.
Many Israelis worry the danger lies within. Right-wing members of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's ruling coalition, Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, have threatened to collapse his government if Hamas still exists after the hostages are released.
And we know that the closer we get, the more Ben-Gvir, Smotrich and Netanyahu will do everything to sabotage our chance to embrace our loved ones.
The terms of the proposed deal take the right-wing dream of annexing Gaza off the table and demand a staged Israeli withdrawal from the territory. It is also what is left unsaid by Hamas that could upend a deal. It has made no mention of a key Israeli demand for disarmament, nor commented on the proposal for a governing board running the territory headed by President Trump.
Inshallah, there could be a consensus made or something like that if it ever can. But I do know in the Quran it says if you can't stop something with your voice, stop it with your feet, meaning go away. If you can't go away, then use your hands. Now, both these people are not indigenous to this land. And today we do have videos, camera, to see these desolations and genocides in person. And this isn't downplaying all the innocent lives, but these wars have been happening for quite some time over land, these land lovers, and neither are indigenous. One has a longer claim of being there in modern time, and the other is doing the same exact thing that the West has always been doing, such as American genocide, Native Americans, such as the Congo, many parts of Africa, such as the indigenous people of Australia.
UNICEF's James Elder is in Gaza. He told us for Palestinians, a deal cannot come soon enough.
This is 2 years of a relentless attack on everything they hold dear.
How important is it right now for the children of Gaza?
Oh, it's everything. It's everything. They're holding on. They really are. It's day by day.
The Israeli bombardment of Gaza has lessened over the past 2 days, but it has still not stopped completely, Jerika, with reports of ongoing casualties.
It's terrible. Inshallah, we'll find a consensus and those innocent peoples. May Allah grant them Jannah Firdaus. In other news, we have to look at this claim about a rapture going on in the world.
You're not going to believe what just happened. You are not going to believe what just happened. I'm taken back right now, so forgive me if I seem to be a little rattled, because I am. You guys know that we're in the midst of a government shutdown, so, I'm here chilling at home, chilling at the house. And my boy called me up. He was like, man, we're in the middle of a shutdown. And so, want to use this as an opportunity to get back to working out. So I'm like, cool. So he asked me if I wanted to work out with him. I'm like, sure. He's like, man, I know you have the hookup at your house, can I just slide by, and, we can work out at your crib, being that you got the weight set at your house. I'm like, all right, cool. Come on.
What's this guy talking about?
So we here, at the house, working out. So while he was on the bench, while he was working out on the bench, going to do some bench pressing, I decided to use it as an opportunity to ask him for the money that he owed me. Family, you got to be very strategic when you ask for your money back. In many cases, it's like you have to almost like borrow your own money back. So I asked him while I was spotting him, I said, man, I lent you some money a few times and you didn't pay my money back, and I just want to know, when can you get it back to me? You said you was going to pay me back. So I'm just trying to, get an update of when you're going to get the money back to me. Family, he gone. He gone, family. He gone. Family, he gone. He gone.
I thought he was talking about the dude that was talking about this rapture business. Let's check what's going on in World News Today at Digma.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israelis are marking the second anniversary of Hamas's attack, which left 1,200 people dead, including more than 700 Israeli civilians and 79 foreign nationals. Memorial events are underway in kibbutzim in southern Israel, where people were killed or kidnapped. Meanwhile, large rallies are being held in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, calling for the release of the remaining hostages held in Gaza and a ceasefire. Over the past 2 years, Israel's indiscriminate war in Gaza has killed more than 67,000 Palestinians, including at least 20,000 children, though the figures are believed to be a vast undercount, with thousands of bodies trapped under the rubble. In Egypt, indirect talks between Israel and Hamas are underway for a second day on a U.S.-drafted 20-point Gaza ceasefire plan. This comes as Israel continues to attack Gaza, with at least 8 Palestinians killed since dawn today. They're among more than 100 people killed since President Trump last Friday called on Israel to halt the bombing campaign. Meanwhile, a new study by the Cost of War Project finds the Biden and Trump administrations provided at least $21.7 billion in military assistance to Israel over the past 2 years.
I wonder how much it's been going on ever since the end of World War II. I just think that whole thing is just insane. All this money dumping into everyone and reparations, and not for the only people who's not getting it. All these trillions of dollars, the people who really, and even myself including, believe that maybe, we would tip the world economy and mess it up even if we did get what we own. Clearly not. Basically, what we're looking for as Black people is our own Israel. Give us a state, fund us for generations. Literally, why can't we? This is why.
Swedish activist Greta Thunberg was among at least 170 activists deported from Israel Monday after Israeli military forces last week raided and captured dozens of boats in the global Samud flotilla, which attempted to break Israel's siege and starvation campaign in Gaza. On Monday, Thunberg spoke to a cheering crowd as she arrived at an airport in Athens, Greece, confirming she and other flotilla activists faced abuse in Israeli custody. She also posted this message on her Instagram.
Do not let me and other volunteers on the flotilla be a distraction. And the global...
What's funny is on that flotilla, the black dude is the one that got his ass beat.
Flotilla is about solidarity with Palestinians, international solidarity. And what Israel did was mainly not to illegally abduct us in international waters and abuse us in prison, but it was that it stopped a humanitarian mission and violating international law by preventing humanitarian aid from entering Gaza, a population that are being systematically starved by Israel. And this is a blatant violation of international humanitarian and maritime law.
More than 340 flotilla activists have been deported from Israel as advocates continue to demand the release of over 100 others who remain in Israeli prison custody, including U.S. citizens. Meanwhile, another wave of humanitarian aid vessels is sailing toward Gaza. The new flotilla is made up of 11 ships with activists from 25 countries, including doctors carrying medicine and nutritional supplies.
Conscience is a nice name.
Lebanon's health ministry says Israeli airstrikes killed 2 people and injured another in southern Lebanon earlier today. They follow an Israeli strike on a car Monday that killed a man who lost his eyesight in Israel's pager attack last year, along with his wife, who was driving the car. According to the United Nations, Israel's military has killed at least 103 civilians in the 10 months since it agreed to a ceasefire with Hezbollah.
Wow. Guess they literally can do what they want. Quite a time to be alive. I am grateful to be alive. And any problems that I do have, which is why I haven't been on, I do think about the world and what's going on.
Despite the declared truce, Israel's kept up near daily attacks. In the United States, 200 National Guard troops from Texas are heading to Chicago after a judge declined to block their deployment following 2 lawsuits filed by the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, journalists and protesters. This is Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson.
I promise that the city of Chicago will do everything in our power to protect the constitutional rights of all Chicagoans.
You're protecting the constitutional rights of immigrants, sir.
This lawsuit is the latest demonstration of our commitment. Let me be absolutely clear.
Sorry, not immigrants. Illegal immigrants. Immigrants is nothing. There's no problem. They don't affect us negatively. Wonderful. It's just being illegal. Like I said, these wars have always been happening, and there's a point where you start a country. Anything other than that is insurrection, mutiny, revolution, rebellion, civil war, things of the such, which a lot of people in the workplace are even speaking of.
Clear. The president is not sending military troops to Chicago to keep us safe. We know this because Trump has a history of targeting Chicago.
This comes as the Trump administration is asking an appeals court for authorization to send troops from Texas and California to Oregon after a federal judge over the weekend blocked the deployment of National Guard troops. In Portland, an elderly couple protesting ICE on Saturday say they were knocked over by federal agents. Lori Ekman told the Oregonian, quote, "With no warning, the feds charged into us, knocked us down, and sprayed us. I was hit in the head with a projectile," unquote. Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley said, quote, "Trump's troops are deliberately attacking peaceful protesters to incite violence. The goal is to generate riots, to justify the expansion of authoritarian measures, and to strengthen the case for the troop deployments," Senator Merkley said. The U.S. government shutdown has entered its 7th day. Democratic lawmakers are...
Speaking of the shutdown, people are like, oh, nobody's getting fired and this and that. All these people that are Proud Boys. Actually, they let go 50 people from my job last week. 50.
Folding to their demands that Republicans...
Also, due to terrorists, we're no longer shipping our products to Canada.
Agree to extend health care subsidies from the Affordable Care Act and reverse cuts to Medicaid. President Trump, who's threatened mass firings of federal workers, blamed Democrats for the shutdown, saying, quote, "I call them Democrat layoffs. They're causing it," unquote. His comments came just days after he celebrated the shutdown as an unprecedented opportunity to carry out mass layoffs. On Monday, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries challenged Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson to a primetime debate over the shutdown, which Johnson rejected. This
Give a shout out to Senegambia. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nene tutti. Demabuga phone.
is Jeffries.
Well, the White House has gone radio silent since the Oval Office meeting last Monday, and neither Leader Schumer or myself have heard a word from the administration.
That's crazy. He looked like my pops. That's a piece to pops. Hakeem. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
About resolving this issue, making clear to us that the White House wanted to shut the government down, to continue the chaos that they've been inflicting on the American people since day one of this presidency.
The government of Eswatini confirmed Monday it's received a second deportation flight from the United States carrying 10 people who were not nationals of the small southern African kingdom. This comes after the Trump administration previously sent 5 other deportees to Eswatini in July. Lawyers and human rights groups warn deportees sent by the U.S. have been held in solitary confinement and denied access to their lawyers. The Trump administration's also sent third country deportees to Ghana, Rwanda, and South Sudan. The head of the United Nations Agency for Refugees is warning countries not to abandon the post-World War II framework for humanitarian migration, including the 1951 Refugee Convention. Filippo Grandi made the remarks Monday as some European nations and the Trump administration seek to limit the right of refugees to request asylum.
I'm worried that the current debate in Europe, for example, and some current deportation practices, such as in the United States, address real challenges in manners not consistent with international law.
Syria's established its first parliament since longtime ruler Bashar al-Assad was overthrown 10 months ago, ending a 12-year war. Many Syrians welcome this as a step forward after more than 5 decades of dictatorship under the Assad family. But the process was also widely criticized as undemocratic because the public did not directly vote for the lawmakers. Local committees cast their ballots Sunday, while interim Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara will appoint at least a third of the 210-member assembly. There were also mounting concerns about the underrepresentation of women and minority groups. Only 4% of members of the new Transitional Assembly are women. In related news, the Syrian army and the U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces have reportedly reached a ceasefire deal in Aleppo. This comes after recent escalating tensions between the two groups.
Let me know if you guys have any requests also for me to cover in different news. I've been away for quite some time. I'm glad to be back. Shout out to my 176 subscribers, mashallah.
Killing of a member of the Syrian security forces in an SDF attack. The International Criminal Court's convicted a former Sudanese militia leader of war crimes and crimes against humanity for his role in mass executions, rapes, and torture in the Darfur region.
Was it one of Trump's advisors or something like that? Got off just for a couple months of prison of him doing sexual assault and things like that. I'm telling you, it is not equal. And people that go with the narrative that things are just delusional. Let's just be clear.
Good. Ali Muhammad Ali Abdulrahman, also known
One of the Congo gets reparations.
as Ali Kushaib, was a commander in the Janjaweed militia when the Darfur conflict erupted more than 20 years ago. Then President Omar al-Bashir's government responded to the rebel uprising with a scorched earth campaign of aerial bombings and gruesome raids across villages carried out by Janjaweed troops. Over the years, it's estimated up to 300,000 people have been killed in Darfur and over 2 million displaced. Al-Bashir has been charged by the ICC with crimes including genocide and remains in a military-run prison in Sudan. ICC presiding judge Joanna Corner explained Monday's verdict.
The chamber is convinced that the accused is guilty beyond reasonable doubt.
Whoa, that voice is interesting. Joe?
Of the crimes with which he has been charged. Its verdicts are unanimous.
This marks the first time the ICC has convicted a suspect of war crimes in Darfur. Back in the United States, Paramount Skydance has acquired the right-wing digital media outlet The Free Press for $150 million and has installed its co-founder, Barry Weiss, as editor-in-chief of CBS News. Weiss will report directly to David Ellison, the CEO of Paramount. The Free Press is backed by prominent Silicon Valley venture capitalists, has been widely criticized for its commentary on Gaza, including an article titled The Gaza Famine Myth, which questioned famine conditions in the besieged territory caused by Israel's assault and blockade.
I wonder who owns that news outlet.
A CBS correspondent told The Independent, quote, "The fact that we don't have money to pay journalists, but we have money to pay Barry Weiss between $100 and $200 million is indicative of what the Ellison's true goal here."
How about sending trillions of dollars to Israel and still not giving us our reparations here in America? Everyone else is getting them but the American black people. So it's not asinine to us to even speak of it because people are getting it. And there is money. There's always money. We make money.
There is, and it's not journalism, they said. The Supreme Court's rejected an appeal from convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, who's currently serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking. Maxwell had attempted to get the Supreme Court to rule on whether her case was covered by a plea deal Epstein reached in 2008 when he pleaded guilty to prostitution offenses in Florida in exchange for federal prosecutors agreeing not to charge his co-conspirators. Meanwhile, President Trump was asked Monday about a possible pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell.
A pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell is insane. We see why the Epstein files aren't coming out. The world is a shithole.
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people have asked me for pardons. I call them
A bunch of pedophiles, rapists, murderers, genociders, drug dealers, racists. It's insane. Where will we be without the Quran? I won't say the so-called modern or the widespread Sunni Islam. I won't say that because in these countries there's a lot of fitna and a lot of wickedness, but the Quran itself is pure. And what we need to come to is Islam Ahmadiyya. Speaking of such, I had a meeting on Sunday giving charity, and we also downloaded this app. It was a trial run. It's called Samaritan, giving homeless people in Los Angeles area or whatever side of the country that have caseworkers and things like that, giving them charity and also kind words. I'm not sure if I'll keep going along with it because it's like we already give sadaqah.
Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
But she was convicted of child sex
You just say Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon? That is insane.
trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I have to ask DOJ.
Meanwhile, Adelita Grijalva, who just won a special election for a congressional seat from Arizona last month, has still not been sworn into Congress, despite arriving in Washington, D.C. last week. Last Friday, House Speaker Mike Johnson canceled previously scheduled votes for this week and is holding pro forma sessions with just a few minutes of business per day. Grijalva thinks it's because she's the deciding vote on a petition to release the Epstein files. Democratic Congresswoman Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez echoed her concerns, writing on X, quote, "The government is in full shutdown and the Republicans are refusing to call the House back into session. Want to know why? Because we have secured the final vote on releasing the Epstein files and they don't want them out."
Very interesting. Bingo. They clearly don't want them out. And some people, there are whispers of Israel having something to do with that because clearly Epstein's an Israeli. And they're saying there are very wicked things of Donald Trump there, let alone not only him, Chris Tucker.
Unquote. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report.
Check them out. Shout out to Democracy Now! Right now, also in world news, oil has been found in Somalia. We know how we feel about oil. We're going to be special friends with everyone.
And this is Pan-African News. Somalia. Turkey discovers 20 billion barrels of crude oil in Somali waters. The Turkish Petroleum Corporation has discovered 20 billion barrels of commercially viable crude oil in 2 of 3 blocks of Somali waters it is exploring in. Results from the 3rd block are expected by August 2025. Somalia has an estimated 6 billion cubic meters of natural gas and 30 billion barrels of offshore oil, which could make the country one of the 10 largest oil-producing nations in the world. Somalis hope the landmark discoveries will help the nation's military.
I'm sorry, I cannot do his monotone voice. That is insane. But Turkey's, they found a lot of oil there.
What if I told you that Somalia, a country often seen only through headlines of conflict, could be sitting on one of Africa's biggest untapped oil treasures, a resource with the power to rewrite its future? From its vast Indian Ocean coast to deserts hiding underexplored reserves, Somalia might just hold the key to Africa's next major energy boom. Somalia's coastline isn't just long. It's a sprawling 300-kilometer frontier facing the vast Indian Ocean. For centuries, this was a gateway for merchants and empires, a hub of culture and trade. But today, its strategic significance has escalated to a truly global scale, placing this nation at the very center of the world's economic bloodstream. Look closer at the map. Somalia commands the Horn of Africa, standing guard over one of the most critical maritime choke points on the entire planet, the Gulf of Aden. This narrow waterway is the primary entrance to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a vital artery that funnels global shipping from the Indian Ocean to the Red Sea and onward to the Mediterranean through the Suez Canal. Every single day, a staggering volume of the world's commerce navigates these very waters. We're talking about millions of barrels of crude oil and petroleum products representing nearly 10% of all seaborne oil trade. A disruption here doesn't just cause a ripple, it sends a shockwave through the global economy, capable of impacting everything from the price you pay at the pump in California to the manufacturing output of factories in China. This is the world's energy superhighway, and Somalia has a front row seat. But the story gets even more compelling. The real intrigue isn't just about the oil flowing its shores, it's about its immediate neighborhood. To the north, across the Gulf, lie Yemen and the colossal oil fields of Saudi Arabia, titans of the global energy market. Geologists have long been fascinated by the striking similarities in the rock formations on both sides of the Gulf of Aden. Before the tectonic plates shifted and created this waterway, these landmasses were one. This tantalizing geological clue raises a monumental question. If the Arabian side of the rift is so phenomenally rich in black gold, could Somalia be sitting on a mirror image of those vast reserves? This incredible proximity and shared geology transforms Somalia's identity. It's no longer just a nation with a long coastline. It's a country positioned at the crossroads of immense wealth and power.
Well, it was quite wealthy in the 80s, so that's pretty ignorant to say that. But being war-torn has destroyed and collapsed it, which happens a lot in such exotic countries with brown people and wonderful weather, ironically. What does Europe really even produce? Really? Why is England's economy so good when England makes nothing? The bread and butter of England's transportation, they will get you.
Power. Its location makes it not just a neighbor to oil-rich giants, but a potential geological sibling, a dormant player poised to awaken and potentially rewrite the entire global energy map. For decades, a tantalizing whisper has echoed through the halls of geology, that beneath the sun-scorched landscapes and turbulent waters of Somalia lies a colossal, untapped fortune. This isn't mere speculation. It's a theory rooted in deep...
I don't think I like the way he's talking because California actually looks like Africa. But also in breaking news, we're going to check out what's going on with these ice riots, huh? All right, let's check this out.
Bill Malugin was on the scene as it unfolded, and he joins us now from Oregon with the latest. Bill.
Ainsley, good morning to you. I can tell you things got pretty heated out here at the Portland Ice Building last night.
Also, there was a lot of sirens yesterday, last night, or between morning and night. I wonder what's going on. I always hear them, so something must be going on also down here in California. It was a lot.
We witnessed a violent fist fight that left a man knocked out. We saw the burning of American flag, the macing of protesters, and multiple clashes with federal agents. We'll get right into the video, show you what we witnessed. Take a look. This was last night, one of those clashes. Federal agents bull rushing and arresting a protester who had stepped onto federal property despite repeated warnings. There was another protester taunting the agents on a megaphone, asking them what the feds were going to do about it if they walked on their property. Well, that guy found out. There was another video we had of agents chasing down and arresting a separate protester, though it's unclear what this woman was detained for. Now, take a look at this. We also witnessed a violent fight. These two guys had been jawing at each other all night long. Then the fists started flying. The man in the white shirt was pro-ice. The man in the black shirt, anti-ice. He was the one who got laid out with a punch to the face. Minutes later, we saw him appear to collapse and go limp with some serious swelling to his face. Federal agents had to carry him inside their building for medical attention. But guys, there was no Portland police around to intervene during any of this. It's an issue the Portland ICE director told me has been an ongoing problem due to local politics. Take a listen.
There have been folks that have been assaulted right down here on the street, even across the street, and it takes Portland police a while to respond, or sometimes they don't respond at all.
In the meantime, anti-ICE protesters also set this American flag on fire before it was then ripped away by independent journalist Nick Sorter. He grabbed that flag with the flagpole, put the flames out, took the flag away, leading to him being cussed out by the protesters. More on him in a moment. But lastly, want to show you this incident. We witnessed this female protester.
Everyone's dying to get to America. They don't see the economic slavery. They don't see the racism. They don't see the mass shootings. They want to talk about America, but they're dying to get here. There's other places in the world, you know.
Get maced in the face by a federal agent for unknown reasons. She had been yelling at agents, but we didn't see anything physical. Well, Portland police officers who watched from the sidelines then walked over after this and began collecting videos of the macing from witnesses who saw it. Officers on scene told us they are reviewing the incident for potential federal wrongdoing. And back out here live at the end of the night, the Portland Police Bureau says they sent in their rapid response team, but that was after almost all of the violence and tension had already finished. Portland police say they ended up arresting 3 people, one of which we can confirm is independent journalist Nick Sorter, the guy we just showed you pulling the burning American flag away. We don't know exactly what he was arrested for just yet. We're working on getting those details, but a night of tension out here in Portland, and the National Guard still has not arrived on scene yet, guys. We'll send it back to you.
They're just like, oh, I can handle it. I'll come there, get the money, I need the money. They don't understand. If we don't cause more wars and get more things from other nations, such as the way as our ancestor did, England, Britain, UK, our economy won't be as stunning. But I hear there's some things going on in Japan where they are failing. Americans are moving to Japan and buying houses, actually.
So, Bill, 2 things. So the local cops aren't allowed to back the other men and women in blue there when there's violence, but they can investigate them. And number 2, they can go after a conservative journalist that's out there on the ground, but they can't go after the violent protesters?
So the ICE director here in Portland told us that's basically the case, that Portland police are largely restricted by the mayor and city council from responding to the area around this building. She said it's like there's a bubble around this building and that it gets frustrating for them inside to have to watch attacks and assaults right out here on the street in front of the building, which is Portland police jurisdiction. But police never show up and respond. And if there's no federal nexus, they can't do anything about it. And yes, Lawrence, to your
police have a choice not to adhere to federal. Local and federal have always have a sort of a rivalry, but then especially these people's not adhering to it. A lot of things going on, such as Trump basically cursing out the UN, Israel doing what they want. It's just a lot of things that people are in themselves have their own jihad, and clearly outside in the world. Spiritual battle is going on.
Point the other night, there was another independent reporter, Katie Davis Court, who got smacked in the face by a girl wearing black bloc out here. That she got hit in the face with a flagpole, and she's got a big black eye from it. She helped chase down the suspect who hit her. There was a Portland police liaison right there. The girl was never arrested, but then you have Nick Sorter, who was out here. Again, we don't know what happened. We didn't see what happened, but he got arrested, and he had just tweeted 2 nights ago that if he were to defend himself out here, he thinks Portland police would arrest him. So we're going to try to get in touch with him and figure out what happened, but there is a lot of frustration.
Very liberal. They call them granola eaters up there, but very liberal. They have, their own. Even when the riots were happening with Mike Brown and George Floyd, they were rioting for a long time in Portland. A long time. I don't know what's in the water up there.
With the way Portland police handle things out here. I can tell you we were out here 3 nights in a row up until midnight, and they'll have a couple police liaisons watching everything from across the...
I mean, these people do know that their ancestors are legal immigrants, genociders, rapists, and murderers, right? And they're fighting for people to be here, but they themselves need to leave.
Street.
If America was free, everybody would probably look Mexican. Really, not Mexican as in the country themselves right now that are mixed peoples and go by a Eurocentric ideology of anti-Black racism, but I'm speaking more so of the red Indians, also Black ones. This place would be a bunch of red and Black Indians running around. And yes, a lot of people are quiet now. A lot of Cherokee nations are actually saying that Black people are Native American. So there's that.
If anyone is here at all, but they don't get involved in anything. That fist fight we showed you, we all knew that was going to happen. I mean, these guys were jawing at each other for 30 minutes straight. You could feel the temperature going up.
Also, I find it ironic that a lot of these Israelis, they don't take DNA tests. A lot of them that do find out where they're from in the European countries. Some of them, they do have ancient DNA chromosomal that is linked to the Middle East, Levant area. But I find it ironic when a Black man, such as myself, says that, oh, we're Native American, and my autosomal, meaning the pie chart that is recent within a couple hundred years instead of thousands of years, such as Jews, they say you're not Native American, you're not this, you're not that. I actually would have more Native American blood in me than an Israeli would have Israelite blood in them. So I find that little conundrum quite interesting. It's just the respect of being able to be murdered. That is, we have to come down to the realization that death brings respect. You guys represent, they're like, oh, they are this and that. That's not my fight, even though I am also literally descended from them, Ashkenazi Jew in Italy, which is why I know some of those people do have Middle Eastern DNA, but it's illegal to take these tests. Even a lot of Ethiopians, they were also converts as well. Actually, a premise is when you convert, you were always a Jew in your heart, and you were a lost Jew that came back. So a lot of these things are very murky. I find it ironic, and I come to find out that the woman, because that's my X chromosome, Ashkenazi Italian, she actually bought her husband, who's a mulatto man. And I was wondering why these Black people, before I did these tests, I was just so fascinated on my grandmother's obituary, how these Black people have so much land, they know how to write in cursive. I was thinking maybe the wife, knew how to do it because her husband's name was Fielding Brown. Interesting name. Like Ileana or something like that, and Fielding. Yeah, so she brought her husband, and they had children, and they had land. That land was also passed down all the way to my grandmother in Chickahominy, I believe, and they eventually sold it.
Going up. They were starting to shove each other. Then the fist started flying. The one guy looked like he was hurt pretty bad. We can report to you, though, he eventually walked out of the ICE building behind us. It was the feds who had to treat him. He walked out and joked. He was conscious. He walked by our cameras and joked with us. He goes, I almost made it to Friday, joking about the fact that he had lost that fight. So no police there to intervene during that fight whatsoever.
So, Bill, is this similar to Los Angeles when you were covering the riots in the streets with the ICE, and it was slow for the LAPD to actually get there? And we heard the police on that Sunday say, it looked like it was getting out of control, so we brought in the cops.
That is a nice tie. I wouldn't wear that with blue. That's a nice tie.
Is this similar to the situation, or is the Portland police even slower than the LAPD?
Way slower than LAPD. At least in LA, you have LAPD on scene watching everything. So if something does happen, they can jump in quickly. Here, like it's rare to even see any Portland police officers. They'll have maybe 2 guys in white shirts standing on the corner, but they're not the real officers who can take enforcement. They're called the Portland Police Liaisons. They're the ones who are supposed to walk around and try to de-escalate things, but they didn't do any de-escalating with that fight. So in my opinion, with my experience covering LAPD and just being out here the last few nights, LAPD a whole lot quicker responding than Portland police.
Terrible, just terrible. Great job out there, Bill.
Yeah.
Why do they keep coming out there with those cartoon character outfits? I wonder what that means up there. I know there's a lot of dope fiends up there in the Pacific Northwest. They be out there in Elmo suits and all that, just tweaking.
The girl that had the black eye, she was on Jesse's show the other night, and she said the liaison police, she kept saying, that's the girl that did this to me. That's the girl right there. And they couldn't do anything. And then, what was it, like 24 hours later, now they're looking for the girl. She was right there.
If you're low.
Okay, let's check out the update on the mass shooting from these white terrorists, which they keep doing it, but they're not calling them terrorists, which is insane. Insane. All right.
Released in the deadly church attack in Grand Blanc Township. Welcome to 7 News Detroit at 6. I'm Mike Duffy.
And I'm Glenda Lewis. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are seeing those terrifying moments for the first time.
The footage shows the first responders at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints confronting and killing Thomas Sanford, ending his deadly assault. 4 people were killed and another 10 people were wounded.
7 News Detroit reporter Randy Wimbley has the latest on Sunday's tragedy.
These terrorists are, just everywhere out here. And it's insane. We already covered the story of the little boy terrorist in Colorado who was linked to such of these white power militias. Is this where you want to be? You want to come to America? Is this what you want?
Including that video and new information about the response.
Shoot him! A Grand Blanc Township police and a Michigan conservation officer shout commands at Thomas Sanford. This body-worn camera footage revealing the moments before the 2 officers fire roughly 8 rounds at the man who launched a deadly attack on an LDS church, killing him.
What you're about to see here is 2.
Like how the one dude is nonchalant walking. I guess that happens in the military. You give commands to lower ranks, but he definitely didn't want that smoke.
Officers running to the sounds of gunfire to save lives.
Does that look like running?
This is what law enforcement is trained to do, and this is how law enforcement should respond to these incidents.
In addition to the 2 officers confronting Sanford, we're now learning a parishioner also ran toward the danger, firearm in hand. Also new Friday, the Grand Blanc Township Police Chief revealing an updated timeline of the attack, all of it happening much quicker than initially reported.
From the time that the call for service went out to our officers, this incident ended much shorter than 8 minutes, 3 minutes and 43 seconds.
The attack killed 4 worshipers and injured another 8, including Greg Mycat, who was shot 3 times and, according to family, is currently in a coma.
Most people ran away from the danger. Greg ran toward it in an effort to help protect those that were there.
Sanford also set fire to the building, which is now reduced to rubble.
We will never forget this incident, but I promise that we will not let this define Grand Blanc.
The community now responding with enormous support, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for the victims as well as the suspect's family. Even so, Township Supervisor Scott Bennett says scammers are looking to capitalize on the tragedy.
Unfortunately, we have become aware of fraudulent activity or scams that are working, and we're working to stop them. But rest assured, our victims' compensation fund is a secure method for people to give.
And one of those methods is through the Victim Compassion Fund managed by the Elga Credit Union. 100% of the proceeds are going towards the victims. In Grand Blanc Township, I'm Randy Wimbley, 7 News Detroit.
Randy, thank you. A gathering will...
That's wild. And like I said, I do wake up to them sirens. So come to find out there was an issue going on. Boom. We're gonna check this out. Crews put out fire at Southern California Chevron refinery. Oh, what's going on there? Will this be an excuse to invade Somalia? Who's to say? Truth is stranger than fiction.
Fire at the Chevron refinery outside of Los Angeles after an explosion at that site. So far, no reports of anyone hurt, but take a listen to what one witness describes what they saw when the refinery went up in flames.
It's like all orange, and then like we just see like this big explosion, like, and then we see all the fire just rising up, and it was just like a crazy sight to see. Honestly, it was bad.
God, like that's like loco.
Chevron says this facility was built back in 1911, and it's the largest oil refinery that produces oil on the West Coast. About 276,000 barrels of crude oil every single day. It also provides 20% of Southern California's motor vehicle fuel and 40% of its jet fuel. Let's bring in CBS News national correspondent Carter Evans, who's live there at the scene. Carter, we know the fire is currently out, but are there any other dangers or concerns fire crews are prioritizing, maybe air quality?
They've been checking air quality, and so far it's looking pretty good. This is a community, El Segundo, where I'm standing in here.
I'm not gonna lie, this reminds me of V for Vendetta. Everything is going on is like V for Vendetta. That movie, great movie, check it out.
And I would say the refinery takes up about half of it. It is very large. Chevron tells me it's about 2 square miles. The fire is out right now. Everybody is accounted for. No one was injured, but they are still trying to assess the damage and figure out exactly how this happened.
So, Carter, with this being such a vital facility of California's fuel supply, do we know yet how this could impact consumers here in the state?
Going to get it even worse, obviously.
Yes, it's going to cause gas prices to go up in the West Coast for sure. And that's even if the damage to the refinery behind me is not that bad.
Not forget our friends from Venezuela. Of course, we've started becoming friends with them once they found oil down there. Then they cared about the insurrection going down there, which is why we let them up. Then using that as a springboard for getting Latinos to vote for Trump, thinking that they're just going to get rid of Venezuelans. Gotcha! Your dumbass.
The reason gas prices are going to go up is because of speculation to the damage here and how much of a shortage that may cause. The other reason is people are probably going to instinctively rush out to the gas pumps today to fill up their cars. And that is going to put more upward price pressure on a limited supply. So if people can hold off, if you don't need gas today, don't get it. If you don't need gas tomorrow, don't get it. How much are prices going to go up? Well, we spoke with analysts at Gas Buddy. They're anticipating maybe 5 to 15 cents a gallon. It really depends on how much damage occurred here. Now, Chevron tells me the refinery is still operating. This brought down one of 8 production units that they have here. They're operating at a diminished capacity. The question is, how much is that capacity diminished and for how?
Oh, yeah, we're definitely going to do something with Somalia. Like, yeah, we know how America does. Kill, kill, kill. Murder, murder, murder. Shoot them up, what? Shoot them up, what? Now, an update on something that actually affected my family was the Pasadena fires. It reminds me of this. Alhamdulillah, they are, inshallah, getting a place. And prayers up for them. We do have a meal train app for them. But now I think they're pretty good. And I'm so proud and I'm happy for them, their marriage, and their newborn baby. If anyone has anything they would like me to cover, anything news related, Islam related, Black related, please let me know. Now we're going to check out some faith-inspiring stories from MTA Africa.
जाऊंगा मैं तेरी तबली तेरी तबली तेरी तबली तेरी तबली ज़मीन के किनारों तक ponchaunga سأبلغ دعوتك إلى أقصى أطراف الأرض سأبلغ دعوتك إلى أقصى أطراف الأرض.
Welcome to Kasuleta village.
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
Located in Kalilo district, the eastern part of Uganda, about 182 kilometers from Kampala.
سأبلغ دعوتك إلى أقصى أطراف الأرض.
Kasuleta is a deep village of about 2,500 populaces. The people of this village mainly practice subsistence farming.
Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is what my Muslim community does. Okay? We build things in Africa. All right? We help the Africans. We love the Africans. I do personally. You know, I don't see this going on with a bunch of Sunni news or what Saudi is doing. You know, a lot of these people are just racist things, and they follow the worst hadiths.
Bricklaying and cattle rearing.
Emirimu gye singa okukola tuli balimi na bwayi tugetwaya ino enkoko embuli n'ente era tuli balimi tulima omutyere tulima n'amaido.
Before Islam Ahmadiyyat reached Kasuleta, the residents were mainly non-practicing Muslims.
Abuuliriza lwaki yava mu kitundu kino yaŋŋamba nti yava mu kitundu kino olw'okubanga baganda be.
A lot of Muslims do still practice shirk, subhanallah, the African places, still mixing in their cultural things, doing dances and rituals, the spirits, even having henna on their hands still and eating the food. It's a terrible thing. MashaAllah. Thank Allah for his Jamaat. Islam Ahmadiyya Zindabad.
Be bajjudde ku kyalo kino ate baali bashiriku nga beesinza ebintu ebirala atali Katonda.
Ate mu kaseera ako nali ndimu olushiriku ng'olushiriku lwennimu lunene era nga nyagala nnyo amasavu, nyagala nnyo enjerizi, nyagala nnyo ebintu ebyo by'amankyolo nga ne byetanira nnyo kubanga mbadde nga mbuulira nga nkola shiriki enyengo nga ngikwata nga buli mulimu gwonna ogwa shiriki ngukola.
We set out on a long drive to Kasuleta to examine how this divine message found its way to this community.
سأبلغ دعوتك إلى أقصى أطراف الأرض.
They ride bikes like that, just like in Dominican Republic. Don't be clowning my Ahmadi brothers, all right? I'm just letting y'all know, it'll be 3 people on them little bikes in all these countries, all right?
The message of the promised Messiah.
One of them looked like my brother Muhammad right there with the boat on his head, the topi. Shout out to my brother Muhammad.
Found its way to this remote village in 2018 through Sheikh Ibrahim Kadeku and Sheikh Hassan Tamzadeh, missionaries of Ahmadiyya Muslim Community, Uganda.
Kati nga mpulira nti eri ekibiina ekya Jamaat al-Ahmadiyya nga nkiwulira buwulizi era nga sikisiŋŋaanangako nti oba nyumyako nakyo oba nyogerekanyamuko nakyo.
Sidebar, this is beautiful. I just want to say I'm proud to give my donations, my chanda, everything, to the Jamaat, because this is what we do. What other Jamaat is doing this? We are a nation within the world, within our own. Mashallah.
Nga sisuubira nga nsobola okiyingira kati bwali lumu nebayo eyanyumiza nga tuli mu mboozi naŋŋamba nti oli awo nti muganda wo bamuyita Hassani ali mu kibinja ky'Abahamadiya era Muhamadiya naye wandibadde omuyitako wano n'abeerawo oba n'obeerako naye n'akunyumiza ku mbeera y'Abahamadiya. Naŋŋamba baŋŋamba Abahamadiya basajja babi, basajja ba ntalo, basajja bakyate neeno gye ndi mu ntalo Nyerere kubanga Abasuni bajjula ntalo. Era bw'oba osinga
see what they said, Ahmadiyya is bad people, this and that, you know, but the Sunni said where he belongs to full of disputes, selfishness, you know, this greed, corruption. A lot of these Muslim leaders that are in Africa that are very corrupt, they are Sunni.
Otunulira Abasuni temuli mirembe. Tusigala bali besikagana bwesikaganyia, ono ayagala bifo, ono ayagala kulya wano, ono ayagala kino, ate beeyagaliza bo bennyini. Abasuni abasinga obungi ng'ati Musuni ayagaliza munne. N'olwaleero basigala nga bali mu ntalo. Kati mwe nantunuulira entalo eyo oli n'aŋŋamba nti Abahamadiya ba mirembe era bo tebayagala ntalo. Kati yita muganda wo.
See a little baby in the back waving.
Ajja kukubuulira ekituufu. Kwekubira muganda wange akasimu bamuyita Hassani tamuzadde.
Ku lw'okusaasira kwa Katonda empuliziganya eneeriwo omu ku
by God's grace and these means of communication, one of the Muslims in the village called us to Sheikh Hassan Tamuzade, their relative.
Basiraamu ab'ekitundu kino yatukubira esimu nga yakubira Sheikh Hassan Tamuzade, whereby Sheikh Hassan Tamuzade abamulinako oluganda olw'omusaayi. Mu mbeera oti neeyo nga ye n'awulira nga kimulumiriza ekitundu kye mu origini yava okuba ng'eziramu busiraamu butuufu. So
even if I go through things and feel like maybe that I'm not getting the help I need, or if I'm stressed in my own life, I think about Jamaat and what we do and how we help the world. I cannot be selfish. Look how beautiful this is.
Mu mbeera eyo yantegeeza nti mu regioni yo waliwo ekitundu kyenenda tujeemu tukyale tusobole okutuusaayo amawulire ga Jamaat Ahmadiyya. Ng'omubuulizi etubuulira naye nga nnumizibwa mu mutima.
As a preacher, I used to preach, but I always wanted the village of my origin, where my father was born, also to receive the message of Islam, Ahmadiyya.
Nti ekitundu kyaffe taata gye yava wadde abantu abo baali bashiriku naye amawulire ga tegaali batuuseeko. Kaakati oluvannyuma lw'ebbanga nkyalowooza bwentyo bankyusiza banziziza eno banziziza eri. Muganda wange omu tubeera n'omukwano naye mukulu Muniibu. Mukulu Muniibu obwo twakola enteekateeka ne muweereza ku bitabo ebya Jamaat Ahmadiyya, namuweereza Qur'ani n'ekitabo ky'Eswala n'ebitabo ebirala ebyevvuunula mu Luganda. Kati omwami oyo n'abisoma kati nankubira nga njagala mu kitundu kino ne tukola enteekateeka.
I do have a dream and also a vision that I could do missionary work, inshallah, in Africa, Islam Ahmadiyya. I'm too old in the traditional sense of going to Jamia, but in some countries, they do let us perform missionary work. Let's see, when we read them, he invited me to this village. We made an arrangement, but I had to inform the regional missionary.
Naye enteekateeka olw'okuba nti waaliwo regional missionary mu kitundu kino mukulu Ibrahim Kadeko, ne mutegeeza konze waliwo ekitundu kyenjagala tugende mu booluganda bange tubuuliremu tujje tuteekeyo Jamaat. Kakati ne tukola enteekateeka ne tujja naye nze naye. Bwe twajja twabasanga nga bali mu muzigiti gwali gwa ssubi, ne bampa kutuba ne mbabuulirira ne nyanjula Jamaat. Abantu abaalimu baali basukka mu 100, bonna ne bagamba tukkiriza. Naye ne tumanya nti bayinza okuba nga bakkiriza naye nga bakyabulamu. Tugamba nedda musooke mulindeko katono. Gwali mwaka gwa 2018 mu Desemba ne bakola bayat. Abantu baali nkaaga abasooka okukola ne kuddako abantu 40.
Who else is doing this? Who else is helping Africa? Who else is helping the world? specifically Africa. It infuriates me when people have such things to say about Jamaat. Look what we do. You think this is a government agent? You think this is CIA? You think this is Mossad? Look at this, mashallah. This is a blessing. It's Allah's Jamaat.
ate ne kuddako abantu abalala 20.
Obuhamadiya buno ni butandika okubuhulira nga busomesya okuzwa hero bwatutuukireku era ne basomesya sweswena nga nza tumula ni njoyininga okuba omusiraamu omuhamadiya okusinzirira okunsomesya n'empisa n'eidembe n'obusa na buli mu ngeri nze ninsikirizibwa okungira obusiraamu bw'abahamadiya.
Kati bw'aba amala okumbuulira nampa bayati nengisomako.
Now imagine if the world was under Islam Ahmadiyya. Look at this. Look what we do. We don't fight wars. Love for all, hatred for none. The Jamaat is pure. Now, mind you, we are still humans. And even Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that tribalism, aka racism, will never leave his Jamaat or the earth, basically. I say that to say this. Don't let people divert you from the truth. We all have our own jinn, meaning the ego, meaning the nafs and amara, the fire that blows through our veins, to whisper ignorant things and evils. We are human. We must always have our spiritual jihad. I said Ahmadiyya. We know a lot of things are placed metaphorical. You know, we have to analyze things. You know, we have to be logical. And look at the beauty of Jamaat. I just said I came from a program where they were speaking about giving back to communities in even Los Angeles.
Tabayate ngamba Ahmadiyya egenda kunyweza kubanga bayate eno kyegamba kyekyo kyenyagala okwejjamu kubanga shiriki endi bubi 2019 iye nasayiningira bayate nenyingira ekikunzu kya Ahmadiyya. Family yange n'abaana abaana n'abakyala bonna batwakirizaganya nabo bakiriza Jamaati. Nayita omukulu watutwala mu mutwale lino.
Inshallah, it's been an hour. I just really want to get back to you guys, but inshallah, please look up MTA TV Africa, MTA all over the world. Okay, Muslim television Ahmadiyya. All right. Oh, speaking of such, you know, the first mosque built in America by Americans. It's in Dayton, Ohio. First mosque built by Americans in America. Of course, it was rebuilt. But that should say something. The sun rising in the west, meaning the light of Islam within the American hemisphere. I say that to say this. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Islam Ahmadiyya Zindabad. And I thank you all for coming up here, helping me, subscribing. I love you all very dearly. And I pray, inshallah, that Islam Ahmadiyya will enter your life. May Allah guide you to Islam Ahmadiyya. All right? We'll fight the good fight and sharpen our swords of being self-controlled, having piety, love for humanity, for one another. These are our weapons. All right? And the jihad is of the heart. I thank you all for coming through. Black Light News, Abdullah Abid.